Hey, it's Aran here. I got a really good question in my private school community from one of my customers, and she asked about email formatting in Systeme.io. She said, your emails are always so easy to read on my phone. What are the specs you use in Systeme email settings for this? What size font and line spacing? Anything else special? And could you do a quick review of how to set up an email template to use over and over again for newsletters? So let me show you exactly what I do. So you could see right here, this is my newsletters area. So if you hover over emails and click on newsletters, this is what you're going to see. This is all the newsletters that I've sent. And just a quick clarification, so you know, this is basically how many emails are sent for that particular newsletter based on the tags that were sent. And you could see which tags were sent as well. You could see the open rate, you could see the click-through rate, and you could see the status, i.e. the date it was sent and the time it was sent and the fact that it was actually done and sent correctly. Clicks means that somebody clicked a link inside the email. Opens means somebody actually opened the email. So if, for example, 297 emails were sent and 156 emails were open, then this is how much percentage of open rate. And out of those, what is the percent of clicks, people who actually clicked as well. So now, this is the email subject lines, and you could see the different emails that I sent, and you can see that I sent a fair few of them. So you can see there's a fair number here. And my general email newsletter goes to about 20,000 email subscribers. So now, here's what I do. So I click on Create. Now, there's two options. There's the visual editor, there's the classic editor. Now, if you want to include images and things like that in your email, then the visual editor is probably better. My emails are typically text-based only. So I click on classic editor, and I give a subject line. Now, this is typically something that actually is changeable, so that's okay. So I'm just going to call this Expert Q&A membership, let's just say, okay? And I'm going to click on Save. And then I'm going to see it says newsletter has been successfully created. I'm going to click into it. And now that I'm here, there's a couple of things to note. First of all, there's the subject line, which I can obviously change. And then there's the preview line, which is like a sub-line that you can see inside the email. Let me show you what that might look like when you send. So this is what an email looks like when I send it. So you can see that this part is the subject line, and then this is the preview line. Now that is determined by what is here, subject line, preview line. So whatever you want to appear on the email when somebody looks at their inbox, that is what the information you put there. And this helps with open rates. And I really like to put emojis on at least the subject line or the preview line, just because if you ever look at your email inbox, you will notice that not a lot of people actually do that. So it's just a great way to stand out. Don't overdo it, but this is something that you can definitely incorporate as well. And the other thing that I like to do with regards to the subject line is I like it to be something that doesn't give away what it is that I'm actually going to talk about and create some sort of a mystery. So life things is obviously a bit generic. Weekend thoughts is obviously kind of generic. It doesn't really say what it's about. Bali chapter end-ish. I mean, I think the ish kind of makes it like, well, what do you mean end-ish? So this is kind of like an important piece. Like obviously I'm going to talk about Bali, but what am I talking about here? It's kind of like random. You know what I mean? So definitely creating some sort of a mystery in the subject line is great. So instead of, I don't want to get into a whole subject line tutorial here. I'll just show you the specs that I use. But you can check out my Beginner's Guide to Email Marketing ebook. In case you have access to it, you can log in to aran.link/login for that particular course area. So now, in terms of specs, I usually type in hey, and then substitutes like that, and first name. Then I click on enter twice. Then I typically, what I do on the text, I actually do it font 20. Now, I don't actually change it straight away. I actually usually just type the email as I see fit. And then when I get to the end, then I highlight everything and I do font 20 like so. So that's the process for that. Now, a couple other points that are important that I think is important to mention with the specs is my emails are typically very long. So let's just say I want to talk about different topics. So I usually start with, you're getting this email as a, and then also I say, what are they? Like, who are they to receive this? So sometimes it will be a valued email subscriber, or sometimes it will say something like DCT member, or sometimes it will say someone who joined the landing page challenge, at some point or something like that. So depending on who I'm sending it to, I will actually specify so they know why they're getting this email. Now, I usually talk about in today's email, I want to talk about, and then give a thing. And then I will say, but before I do, quick backstory or something like that. So I somehow incorporate a storytelling because I think this is a really important piece because that's what keeps people engaged and wanting to hear from you and so on. At least that's my experience. So that's something important. Another thing is when you have specific segments of your email where you talk about different things, then it's important to not just do that, but actually put something like one, and let's say I'm going to say Bali chapter, and then I would highlight it. And of course, let's do font 20 for that as well. But I will click on this icon right here, font background. And then I usually pick yellow like so. And I go here to make it a little bit more, it's not very yellowish, but I go and pick that. Now, for some reason, Systeme has changed their formatting. So I actually have to then highlight the text. I copy it. And then I click on apply. And then I will make it bold. Now, what I'm going to do is as I create more chapters, first of all, save the color right here. So you actually have the color on the text here. And then what you can do two things. You can actually copy this. And then you would basically copy it like, paste it in like that. So then you could do chapter 2 or segment number 2 or whatever. Now, I'd like to also not always label. I like to also put like some emojis. So I could do something like that, where there's some sort of a color coordinated or color changing. So it makes it a little bit more unique, something like that. And then on the different one, I will do something like this. Now, the way I would find that, by the way, is I would right click on the screen, click on emojis and symbols. Sometimes it takes a second to actually load as well. So just bear in mind with that. Let's do it again. Right click. Okay, it's highlighting. Right click, emojis and symbols. And usually it will pop up a lot faster. There you go. So now if I want to search for something else, I can search for the word black, let's say, and I can find the black version of the same thing. That's another option. I could do it again. With Mac, by the way, I do Command Control Spacebar. It just makes it faster so I don't have to look for it. Let's search for red. And you could see there should be another version like this one. And so on, okay? Now note that this is kind of small compared to this. That's only because the font is 15. If I was to highlight the whole thing and click on 20, you will see that these boxes are going to become identical in size, okay? So that's how I format to make it a little bit more colorful, a little bit more spaced out, things along these lines. Another point to mention, I do avoid using the word money or words that may trigger spam as well. So that's why my emails talk about Bali, weekend thoughts, things along these lines. There is a place you can actually go to like HubSpot spam words to avoid in emails. And it will actually pull up a blog post. You see here, spam trigger words to avoid these. And you can actually gives you a whole bunch of words like free, guarantee, the $, cash, earn, credit, bargain, cheap, buy, miracle, breakthrough, secret. All these ones are, you want to try to avoid those basically. Okay. So that's another point that's really important to note about my subject lines as well. And then also, let's just say I talk about different things. Then what I would do is I would not put in the subject line about all those things. I will just pick one thing that I can create some sort of a mysterious reason for them to open the email. So that's about it. In terms of fonts, I mean, you can play around. I have in the past done Verdana. I have also used Tahoma. Actually, that's very rare, but I think I've used Georgia and Garment. I kind of like those. But honestly, it's a bit of point of preference. I usually just leave it as it is. I just use the default, but that's something you can kind of play with. And also chapters, I typically make bold. So that's about it. That's kind of my little formatting hacks and stuff like that. What you can also do is, let's just say you like what you've created and create a template. You can make a template, save draft, and then you can actually exit this. So once you've created the draft the way you want it, you can click on exit, and you can keep it here like so. And then every time you want to write a new email, you simply hover over the dots here, and click on duplicate, confirm, and then you don't actually use, if you click back on newsletter, you don't use this one, you use this one. Now, the only downside of that is this particular template is going to continue to be pushed down through the emails, and it will basically become not sequential. That is the only downside, but otherwise it works fine. It's not a big deal. So that's about it. Hope you got value from this training. And if you have any questions, let me know in the comment section. And if you're watching, if you're interested to join my private school community, you can go to eran.link/my school, and you'll be able to see my private school community and see everything that is available here and how to join as well.